Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into the world of interracial relationships today. Getting the real deal on what it's like, the good, the bad, the unexpected. We found this fascinating Reddit thread where people opened up about their experiences dating outside their race or culture. And let me tell you, there's some serious food for thought here.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how those personal stories kind of bump up against the bigger picture of society.
Yeah.
We're going to tease out those common themes, but also zero in on those standout stories,
Yeah.
the ones that really get you thinking.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Uh-huh.
One thing that really struck me was how many people talked about facing racism. Sometimes it was blatant, sometimes more subtle.
Hmm.
But it was definitely there. Like one white guy dating a black woman said he got negativity from both sides.
Yeah, and it reminds us that racism isn't just something we read about. It's woven into people's everyday lives, especially for interracial couples. And it's not always just disapproval either. Sometimes it gets scary. One guy described feeling threatened by a group of guys just because he was on a date with a black woman. Another couple mentioned verbal abuse, even threats. It's heartbreaking that something as simple as holding hands can be risky for some people.
It's true, and it really makes you think about those deeper societal issues we need to be addressing. But it wasn't all about negativity from the outside. There were also stories about struggles within families. Like one person's relationship actually ended because of pressure from their partner's family. And someone else mentioned their ex-fiance's mother straight up disapproved, bringing up cultural differences and traditional gender roles as reasons why.
Right, and a Latina woman married to a Croatian man echoed this, saying that sometimes those deeply ingrained cultural attitudes can cause a lot of tension.
It's a good reminder that relationships don't exist in a vacuum. You're bringing families, histories, whole cultures into the mix.
Absolutely, and navigating those cultural differences can be tricky.
One commenter talked about how her white family had a very time is money mentality, while her partner's Latinx family had a more relaxed view of time, which often led to conflicts and misunderstandings.
It's interesting how these tensions often revolve around unspoken expectations and assumptions. It's not just about different customs, it's about different ways of seeing the world, different values, different ideas about what a relationship should look like.
Totally. And those differences can get amplified when families are involved. Like imagine trying to explain your family's unique holiday traditions to someone from a completely different background. It can be a minefield of cultural misunderstandings.
It can, and sometimes those misunderstandings can lead to hurtful stereotypes and generalizations. It's a reminder that open communication is key, not just between the couple, but also with their families.
It makes you wonder, how do we balance respecting cultural differences with calling out those harmful stereotypes within families? Like when is it okay to push back against those ingrained biases, even if it means rocking the boat?
That's a tough one. It requires a delicate balance of understanding, empathy, and a willingness to have those uncomfortable conversations. But I think it's crucial. We can't just sweep those biases under the rug. We need to address them head on.
Absolutely. And it's not just about confronting those biases. It's also about celebrating the beauty and richness that come from blending different cultures. Like remember that commenter who learned a new language because their partner didn't speak English? That's dedication.
Talk about expanding your horizons, right? Another person raved about discovering Dutch cuisine through their partner, specifically mentioning the Dutch fries. Apparently, they're amazing. It's those little things, those everyday experiences that can make interracial relationships so unique and enriching.
Exactly. And it's not just about food or language. It's about gaining a whole new perspective on the world. Like a Native American commenter talked about learning so much about Chinese culture and values through their relationship. They emphasize the importance of open-mindedness and genuine curiosity.
Yeah, it highlights the transformative power of these relationships. You're not just dating an individual, you're immersing yourself in a whole other world, a whole other way of life. And that can challenge your assumptions, broaden your horizons, make you a more well-rounded person.
It's like that saying, travel's the only thing you buy that makes you richer. But in this case, it's love that's taking you on that journey of discovery.
And sometimes that journey can lead you to unexpected places, both geographically and emotionally. You might find yourself trying new foods, learning new customs, and even questioning your own beliefs and values.
It's about embracing that journey with all its twists and
Yeah.
turns and being open to the transformative experiences it offers. But let's not sugarcoat it. This journey isn't always smooth sailing.
Right. And that brings us to a topic that needs careful consideration: fetishization. It's one thing to be attracted to someone from a different background, it's another to objectify them based on their race or culture.
Yeah, one commenter shared their experience of being treated like a novelty, like a bucket list item, because of their race. That's not attraction. That's reducing someone to a stereotype.
It's dehumanizing, and it misses the whole point of connecting with someone on a deeper level. Instead of seeing the individual, you're just seeing a projection of your own fantasies. It's like that study that found people were more likely to swipe right on dating apps if the profiles included exotic travel photos. It's not about the person, it's about the image they project.
Exactly. And that kind of objectification can have real consequences, perpetuating harmful power dynamics and reinforcing those same prejudices we've been talking about.
So how do we make sure we're not falling into that trap? How do we approach interracial dating in a way that's respectful, genuine, and avoids those harmful stereotypes? It starts with self-awareness, checking those biases we all carry, and being honest with ourselves about our motivations. Are we genuinely interested in this person for who they are, or are we attracted to some idealized version of their culture?
It's like that saying, don't exoticize the familiar and don't familiarize the exotic. It's about finding that balance between appreciating the differences and recognizing the shared humanity.
And it's about communication, being open to talking about these sensitive topics with our partners, our families, even within our own communities. We need to create spaces where these conversations can happen without judgment or shame.
Right, because it's not about being perfect.
Okay.
It's about being willing to learn to grow and to challenge those ingrained biases that we all have. And sometimes that growth comes from the most unexpected places, like those heartwarming stories we read about people discovering the joys of another culture through their partner.
Yeah, those stories are like little glimpses into the transformative power of love. Remember the commenter who learned about the importance of family in Latinx culture through their partner? They realized that family wasn't just about blood relations. It was about a deep sense of community and interconnectedness that extended beyond the immediate family.
It's like expanding your definition of what family means, and it can challenge those individualistic values that are so prevalent in Western cultures. It's a reminder that there are different ways of being in the world, different ways of relating to others, and different ways of defining what's important.
It's about opening ourselves up to those different ways of being, even if they challenge our comfort zones. It's about recognizing that diversity isn't just about tolerance, it's about enrichment.
It's like that quote by Maya Angelou, "In diversity there is beauty and there is strength." And that beauty and strength shine through in those stories where people talk about the personal growth they experienced through their interracial relationships.
One person talked about how their relationship helped them to confront their own internalized racism. They realized they had unconsciously absorbed certain stereotypes about their partner's race, and it took being in that relationship to unpack those biases and challenge those beliefs.
That's powerful. It shows that these relationships can be catalysts for personal transformation, forcing us to confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us.
And that transformation isn't always easy or comfortable, but it's essential for growth. It's about moving beyond those surface-level differences and recognizing the shared humanity that connects us all.
It's like that famous photograph Earthrise taken from Apollo 8, which shows the Earth as a small, fragile sphere floating in the vastness of space. It put things into perspective, showing us that we're all in this together regardless of our differences.
And sometimes it takes those interracial relationships, those cross-cultural connections, to remind us of that shared humanity. They force us to step outside of our own limited perspectives and see the world through someone else's eyes.
It's about recognizing that our differences are what make us unique, but our shared humanity is what binds us together. And those bonds can be incredibly strong, as we saw in those stories where people talked about the unwavering support they received from their partners in the face of adversity.
Remember the couple who faced backlash from their families for being interracial? They talked about how their love for each other gave them the strength to overcome those obstacles and build a life together despite the challenges.
It's a reminder that love can conquer hate, that understanding can bridge divides, and that those personal connections can create ripples of change that extend far beyond the individual couple.
And those ripples of change are what give me hope. They show that we're moving towards a more inclusive and equitable society, one relationship at a time.
But let's be real, it's not all sunshine and roses. There are still systemic barriers and deeply ingrained prejudices that we need to address. We can't just rely on individual love stories to solve those problems.
Absolutely. We need to work on those systemic issues, challenging those inequalities, and creating a more just and equitable world for everyone, regardless of their race or cultural background.
And part of that work involves having these conversations, sharing these stories, and raising awareness about the complexities and nuances of interracial relationships.
It's about normalizing those conversations, making them part of the mainstream, and challenging those who try to silence or erase these experiences.
Exactly. It's about amplifying those voices,
Yeah.
celebrating those stories, and creating a space where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. And speaking of amplifying voices, if you're enjoying this deep dive into interracial dating experiences, we encourage you to subscribe to Voices of the Soul and check out Shauna Pelage's YouTube channel for more insightful conversations just like this one.
We love sharing these explorations with you, and your support means the world to us. It helps us to reach a wider audience and continue these important conversations.
So what are some key takeaways from all these stories, all these different perspectives on interracial relationships? It's clear that it's a multifaceted experience filled with both challenges and rewards.
We've seen how racism, family dynamics, cultural differences, and even fetishization can create obstacles for interracial couples. But we've also seen how love, understanding, and a willingness to embrace those differences can lead to personal growth, cultural enrichment, and a deeper appreciation for the richness and diversity of the human experience.
It's a reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to these relationships. It's about navigating those complexities with open hearts, open minds, and a commitment to building bridges rather than walls.
It's about recognizing that love doesn't discriminate, and neither should we. It's about creating a world where everyone feels free to love whoever they choose without fear of judgment or prejudice.
And that brings us to a crucial question. How can we move toward a society where love and respect are the driving forces in relationships, regardless of race or cultural background?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not about finding a simple answer. It's about fostering an ongoing dialogue and action.
Yeah, where do we even begin? It feels like such a massive, complex issue.
Well, we start by acknowledging that it is complex, and we resist those simplistic solutions that get thrown around, like just be colorblind or love is all you need. Those phrases oversimplify things, and they ignore the very real systemic issues at play.
Yeah, it's like saying just get over it to someone dealing with a broken leg. It's dismissive and minimizes the pain and struggle they're experiencing.
Exactly. And it puts the burden on individuals to fix a problem that is deeply rooted in societal structures. We need to shift the focus from personal responsibility to collective action, from fixing individuals to dismantling those systems of oppression that perpetuate these inequalities.
So what does that look like in practice? What kind of collective action are we talking about?
It starts with education, understanding the history of racism, how it manifests in our daily lives, and how it impacts interracial relationships. We need to be aware of our own biases, those implicit assumptions we make about people based on their race or culture.
Right, and it's not just about being aware of those biases. It's about actively challenging them, calling them out when we see them in ourselves and in others. It's about having those uncomfortable conversations with our families, our friends, our communities.
Absolutely. And it's about supporting organizations and initiatives that are working to dismantle those systems of oppression, fighting for racial justice, and promoting equality for all. It's about using our voices, our platforms, our resources to amplify those messages and create lasting change.
It's about recognizing that this isn't just someone else's problem. It's a collective responsibility. It's about understanding that we're all interconnected and that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
So true. And it's about celebrating the beauty and richness of diversity, recognizing that our differences are what make us unique, and that those differences should be embraced, not feared.
It's about creating a world where interracial relationships aren't seen as something exceptional or unusual, but as a natural and beautiful expression of human connection.
Yeah. And that brings us back to the heart of this deep dive, the human desire for love, connection, belonging. It's a universal language that transcends race, ethnicity, cultural background.
And it's those stories of love, resilience, those moments of shared humanity that give us hope, that remind us that we're all in this together.
So let's hold on to that host. Let's channel it into action. Let's continue these conversations. Let's challenge those biases. Let's build a world where love and respect are the driving forces in all relationships.
We've covered a lot of ground today. From the personal stories of people navigating the joys and challenges of interracial relationships, to the broader societal issues of racism and inequality. But through it all, one thing remains clear: the power of human connection to heal, to transform, to create a more just and equitable world.
If there's one thing I hope you take away from this deep dive, it's this: love knows no boundaries. And neither should our commitment to building a world where everyone feels loved, respected, valued.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into interracial dating experiences. We hope it sparks some reflection, some conversation, and some inspiration for action. And if you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul and check out Shauna Pelage's YouTube channel for more insightful conversations just like this one.
We love sharing these journeys of discovery with you, and your support helps us to reach a wider audience and keep these important conversations going.
Until next time, keep those minds open, those hearts full, and those conversations flowing.
Thanks for listening.